Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you preparing? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, then you do better. Ambazonians, watch Ethics for an Emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 4 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
Thank you very much and welcome to our program today. I'm sorry we will have to do it this way. I want to welcome all the panelists that are here for the program of today. It's a little bit trickish and I'm not able to, anyway. Barrister Fru, welcome to our program of ethics today, and let's hear you greet the people.
Thank you very much, Pastor Commando. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, all Ambazonians around the world, especially in the home front and in the diaspora. I am here this morning at the invitation of the Ethics Commission to give my own little know-how as to what we intend to do when we set up a transitional government when we arrive Boya. That is the topic for today. That's the way I understand the topic to be. And I'm ready to give my own little contribution. Thank you, Pastor Commando, for inviting me.
Thank you very much, Barrister Dr. Tom. Welcome to ABC and Ethics program.
Yes, hello, Mr. Commander. You getting me?
Getting you 5 on 5.
Yes. Good evening. Good evening, fellow Ambazonians. Good evening, fellow panelists. 21 gun salute to all our people on the home front, especially our Ambazonian Restoration Forces. I'm Tom Dula, Vice Chair of Ethics from Babisi LGA in Gokutunja County. I'm happy to be on board today. Today we are going to tell you how far we are with our revolution and how we are already, for us, it's already something, almost done, and how we are planning for our transitional government in Ambazonia, in an independent Ambazonia very soon. So thank you all for coming, and talk to you all
Thank you
later.
very
We are
much.
also waiting for calls for people who can call us during the show. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Tom. We'll go ahead and welcome Mr. Peter Tang. Is it Tangshi or Tiangshi? Please get into the house and greet the people. Forgive me for the wrong pronunciation of your name. Over to you.
Good afternoon or good morning or good evening to our viewers. Either you are viewing it on Facebook, on YouTube, or on ABC. You are all highly welcome. I am Peter Tanshi, as you said, Mr. Commando, that's correct. I am of the ethics committee, and I'm coming here to give my own version of what we are doing morally to distinguish ourselves when we arrive Boya during the 3-year transitional period. So that we lay a very solid foundation, because that is the very critical part of the fight, that will lay a solid foundation that will then take us forward. I would also be giving a recap of what we discussed last. So that's me, and speak to you very soon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter. Go ahead. The microphone is still yours, and give us the recap of what we did last week.
Okay, as a recap of what we did last week, we looked at shared governance when our independence is recognized. For us to be very effective and to be short and to do a long-lasting, strong Ambazonia, which will be an example in the world, we will really have to go for shared governance. In the aspects which we have in store for all of us is the 3 arms of the government, that is the executive, the legislation, and the judiciary, shall really be given powers, unlike what La Republique is doing now, where the judiciary and the legislation are just toys for the executive. That all the grounds are being laid so that these 3 arms really have powers to cooperative. They would have their powers to perform their duty and also to cooperate in order to push ahead a very strong, prosperous Ambazonia, where people are not keeping their interests in the forefront, but the interest of the people. So the 3 arms of government will work very hand in hand and have real powers and not a toy for the executive. And then the other shared governance thing is between the government departments. So they would also be having meetings, so that, say, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Education, or Minister of Health will projects, the whole meetings in such a way that all the budgets or all the planning goes as planned. And no, as we sing, shared governance in which we empower the leaders of these various departments to have to mold their mentality, to mold their mindset in such a way that they are having the interest of the country at large. Because no country it's great because it has strong leaders only because they empower the people and the leaders work for the interests of the people. That is when we have a strong country. So the intergovernmental meetings in their shared governance would make sure that they take all the responsibility to carry out projects or come out with projects which are at the interest of the people, execute them in the interest of the people with that intergovernmental relationship or meetings, which is, we call it shared governance, and no money goes to individuals as presently La Republique is doing, where people in departments do have a portion of a project. Money of the project goes to individual portion as a percentage into their pockets. So this shared governance and ethics would make sure that no such thing happens at all. That was intergovernmental. And then there are the different levels of government where there will be shared governance. The federal level, at the state level, or we call it now zone, we will come out with the real name, or that's what it's called, at the zonal level, the county level, and the LGA levels. So there would also be shared governance there and meetings held in such a way that it's not a centralized system where a lot of, say, Ministry of Health, everything is centralized in Boya. No, we would, at this level, we would make sure that at the zonal level, the Ministry of Health collaborates with at the federal level for projects, and then go down right at the LGA. They are the ones, if they are the ones executing the project or contractors executing the project, right at the LGA level, there should really be a cooperation between their zonal level and federal level so that that project is done perfectly. Nothing centralized purely in Boya, right? So that is shared governance at the different levels of the government. So with this, it produces a very cordial relationship for people to work at different levels and sharing the governance in such a way that we are empowering our people, we are making our nation great. So those are the different things we, as a summary, we discussed last time. Less ethics discussed. So at ethics and intergovernmental levels, relationship or shared governance, as I've just called it. So that was what we discussed last time. So if I can give over to Pastor Commando.
Sorry, thank you very much, Mr. Peter. Thank you so very much. Well, that's the recap of what we did last week. And today we are going to have our discussion points still continuing in that same vein, even though not in the same topic. But then, as it stands, let's go. As it stands, the transitional government that will make or mar Ambazonia. Do you agree to that? Barrister Fru, over to you. Barrister Fru.
The setting up of the transitional government will make or mar the government of Ambazonia. That is why I believe and I think that if we have not been working already on the transitional government, it is time to accelerate. Because once it happens, we should be ready to present to our people the blueprint of the transitional government. The first and foremost thing is that we have to be able to have drafted documentation of what our people will be discussing during or trying to working on during the transitional government. What do I mean by that? The first thing that is going to happen is that before we start the transitional government, this interim government should have a draft of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia to present to the Constituent Assembly. How do you get to that draft? We will have to select competent and morally up-to-date, upright Ambazonians to sit down and do the drafting of what will remain the law of the land of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. That will be a draft only, because when you put this transitional government, the Constituent Assembly together, you should be able to give them a draft for which they will work on, agree and disagree, and come out with the blueprint, come out with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia that will be presented to the people in a referendum. We have to be ready. And when anybody, everybody competent, whether you are a lawyer or a politician or this or that, that you are part of that drafting committee that the government will have to put together right now as we speak, to start looking at how that constitution draft will look like, and start thinking and putting the pillars together. Then we are running late. Because if we cannot just sit here, and because you don't know, tomorrow we can say we are free, and now we are caught with our pants down without having been prepared for this transitional government. It is right there in the interim constitution that this interim government has 3 years within which to put together the structures of the new government. That transitional period lies in the hands of this interim government, and any failure, this interim government will live to be blamed for any failure to put together a good transitional government that will now be ready to receive the first government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. We must be able to select people who are morally up to date, people who are dedicated, and people who are competent, without favor, without thinking, without trying to look where this person comes from here, this person comes from here, even though that may be a consideration. But the most important thing is that you are competent, you are morally up to date, and you are unbending. No influence peddling. Don't think that because you come from the same place with this person or that person, you will be chosen into that committee, and then and you draft a constitution. No. This interim government, the leadership of this interim government, will be charged with selecting competent Ambazonians in that drafting committee. First point. Second point is the setting up of the transitional government. Don't think that because you are Secretary of State for now as we speak, you will automatically be Secretary of State in the transitional government. No. The government will select competent and morally up-to-date people among all Ambazonians that have been collaborating, or whom we know that they are competent, but because of one reason or the other, they are not affiliated with the interim government and so on. It concerns all Ambazonians without discrimination. Of course, we will have to exclude people who have become enemies of Ambazonia. And I hope everybody understands what I'm talking about. But when you are committed to the independence and sovereignty of Ambazonia, you should be ready, whether you are working for the interim government at this time or you are not, whatever you are doing, wherever you are, we know that Ambazonians know that we have competent people here and here and here around the world. And at the home front, and even in La Republic government, we have our people working there who are competent. We will not neglect anybody and bring that group together to draft draft the constitution, the draft constitution of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia that we will present to the Constituent Assembly. Now, Constituent Assembly. How do we get to a Constituent Assembly? We will have to go from zone to zone, from county to county, from LGA to LGA, and select delegates. There will be a method that is only one thing or two things that are important. Your capability and your competence. Of course, we will select from each county. Of the 13 counties, we'll select delegates from each county. Right down to the LGAs, we'll select delegates to that Constituent Assembly, including every Ambazonia around the world and at the home front and the diaspora. Don't think that because you are now a county chairman or LGA chairman or whatever in the present setup, automatically they will have to consider you to be a delegate to the Constituent Assembly. No. It is a thing that involves the whole nation. Every citizen has a right to become a delegate of the Constituent Assembly. And you must expect you will be selected on the basis of your competence and morality. If you have been a bribe taker in La Republique du Cameroon, if you have been a tribalist in the Cameroon, in La Republique du Cameroon, or even in this, or in anywhere in Ambazonia, don't expect to be selected to go and vote for the constitution, the law of the land of Ambazonia. That's the second point. The third point is the selection of the transitional government. Again, the leadership of this interim government has a lot of work to do. They will have to select for each department that is earmarked. That is earmarked based on what we do and what we understand as a transitional government, the various departments that will be functioning. Transitional secretaries of state will be selected, and your role is only to give to the central government, to the leader of this government, what your department will be doing when the new government comes up. You put the blueprint of your department, the functions of your department, what your department will look like. Because what this interim government will be doing, right, will be select a transitional government, composing of all the components of that department. Secretary of State, Under Secretary, Secretary General, or whatever, you will be selected to work in the transitional government so that the blueprint of the transitional government is put together. In each department, both with not only the functioning, but also the training, the institutions, the schools, the whatever. Okay, let me take justice. With the transitional government, that will select a Secretary of State for Justice, and that Secretary of State for Justice will have various components, various people working with him that will represent various departments, including the School of Law, the School of Magistracy, the School of this, the School of that, the School for registrars of courts, the setting up of the courts. Everything will be represented in that transitional government, so that When we finally hand over to the elected government, they already have a blueprint of what to do, so that they can now appoint their people based on the blueprint. But the important part, the important qualification is your competence and qualification and your morality. We insist on morality because morality makes a good government, and morality will instill into the population the idea of not mortgaging your conscience, or not taking bribe, or not doing influence peddling while as a citizen or a member of government or working for the government. Uh, the last thing is, this interim government also has the responsibility of putting together, proposing to the Constituent Assembly how the electoral commission for the country will look like. Because every country in this world must have an electoral commission that is morally and competent and competently prepared to manage elections in the country. That is the role of this interim government. Well, there are many things to discuss about the type of governments that will be brought to bear, so that when the new elected government comes, they have already a blueprint of a government. They walk into a government. And having said this, we will need a lot of help from our stakeholders abroad. We will need a lot of financing. We will need a lot of technical know-how coming from our stakeholders that are supporting us now, or those that have not supporting us but at least have been interested in us. We will need help to be able to set up this government. And of course, you are setting up a 21st century government, which means that you cannot do without information technology. The government should be linked by internet network, telecommunication network, so that the government can communicate easily and get things done as fast as possible. Dr. Commando, I don't know whether I let me stop here and we'll proceed and see whether we'll come back to some of these topics, or add some or subtract some.
Thank you very much, Barrister. Amin, you are hitting it on the point. Ambazonia is not going to be what we have grown up to see, especially those who were born after our independence was stolen and after our self-governance was stolen. I'm talking because I know that from all that you are saying, you came from that background. You are of that age of those who were born before Ambazonia was stolen. All right. Before we go ahead, I think Barrister Fru has just a few more minutes to be with us here, and I would like you to just react on this last point, and then you are free to pick up your bag and not your baggages, but you are free to pick up your purse and your what you have, and then you drive back safe to what you have to do today. While you are educating Ambazonians, we also want your pocket to be shaking for Ambazonians. And your pocket to be shaking for Ambazonians, you are not going to do what some of, no, can I say your friends or your neighbors or some of your, how do I put it? Which people? Okay, what they have done, you know it, you know what I'm talking about. All right, now let's go ahead. The mind is the biggest battleground in life. What educational programs can be implemented to change the mindset of Ambazonians from that of second-class citizens living in La Republic to first-class citizen of Ambazonian value? Before Barrister Fru comes in to give a response, I want to tell all the Ambazonians that are listening to us Our telephone line is there on the display on the screen. If you are watching from ABC, YouTube, and all the places, our telephone line is there. Please call in and ask a question, possibly before Barrister Flo leaves the studio for what he has to do to bring in some little pocket something for Ambazonia. Over to you, Barrister.
Yes, Pastor Commando, when I read that question, I thought it was one of the most difficult questions on this panel tonight. Listen, there's a saying that the mind is a terrible place to waste. It's a terrible thing to waste. The mind should always be alive and working. Now, you ask what educational programs can be made to change the mindset that we came with from La République du Cameroon. It is going to be an uphill battle. Let's not kid ourselves. There are people who have been so educated in this La République setup that it's very difficult to change their minds. We must take that into consideration. But we must develop programs that will help you transition from the poisonous mind that you had when you were in La République to the present mind, or the mind that we envisage that mind will serve the Ambazonian people. Well, how do we do that? By instituting programs, educational programs. Before this transitional government is set up, we must have seminars that will teach our people the morality of governance. Programs that will make our people know that anything that you do that you think that you were, say, in La République, know that a prison term is waiting for you. Therefore, you must already prepare your mind that you have changed your mind. You have to work very hard to become a different person. A different person ready to serve the 55th country in Africa. Seminar. The ethics committee is well placed to start organizing seminars for all Ambazonians, not only those of us who are in the interim government. No, for all Ambazonians, come up with, like you have already done. This ethics committee has been doing a marvelous job trying to educate our people about the change of mindset. Everything you do depends upon your mindset. If you have been a peddler or a corrupt person or a thief or whatever you have been in your past, just if you know that you cannot change, right off ever becoming a part of the Ambazonian government. There is no way to know whether you were in that category or not. The only way we will know is that when we get to Boya, the first students of the first inmates of the Ambazonian prisons will be coming from those who serve Ambazonia, because you have not been able to change your mindset from what you had when you were growing up, how you were educated in La République du Cameroon, and how you knew that when you went to Endam, you would come back and make money, take a lot of bribe. You are a custom officer, you are trained to how to take bribe, and so on and so forth. You have to be able to change. And in the institutions, in the training colleges or training institutions of Ambazonia, one of the most important subjects to be taught to the students who are admitted is ethics, the ethics of governance, what you must do and what you must not do. Like from our previous show, we have talked about zero tolerance on corruption and influence peddling. We will have to take that into the classrooms of the institutions that would train civil servants, the institution that you train magistrates, institution that you train judges, magistrates, lawyers, nurses, medical doctors, custom officers, the military academies. We should prioritize ethical instructions in all our training institutions. That is very capital, because we are a people that were in the desert for more than 62 years. And in that desert, with you know how vulnerable the human mind can be, we learn things that we were not supposed to learn. To get those things out of our system is not going to be easy, I said so, but we must keep trying. That is the role of the Ethics Commission right now, to put the blueprint of what the courses that will be taught in those institutions of learning, including our universities, including our high schools, including even our educational setup from kindergarten right up to university. Children should be taught to know that this is bad and this is wrong and this is good.
Okay, Barrister, we have a caller on the line. Could you just let him just say something so you can go ahead?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay. Hello, caller. Yeah, go ahead. We are listening.
Yes, Reverend Commander, thank you so much for this opportunity. This is Reverend Dr. Victor Mbak, and more grace to Barrister Fu and the team with you there in the studio. This has been a very awesome program, and Barrister Fu and the rest have been doing a very wonderful job laying out these foundations for the things that we need to put in place for the transitional government. Yes, I just wanted to contribute. It's not a question that I want to ask to Barrister Fu or to any of them. I just wanted to contribute, and most of what I want to say has even been echoed by both of them, and mostly by Barrister Fu, often in his contributions. As one that leads the spiritual advisory team for the cabinet, I want to say that when we talk about a transitional government, we all should not forget the fact that we have all echoed from all angles that this is a God-ordained revolution. And based on that, I want to subscribe to the team that will be doing these write-ups, that they should not forget that it is the Lord God that has been fighting for us in this battle. And it is the Lord God that will finally give Ambazonia to us. And one of the things I want to say to them is that when this period will come, when they will be drawing or writing out the transitional government plan, they should not forget that one of the greatest reasons why God is saving Ambazonia is because most of the nations around the Gulf of Guinea has failed God. And God wants Ambazonia to be showcased so that others will know that there is a God. And I want to beg that transitional committee should not forget that ethics, which we are here talking on, will be the priority of anything that we are going to be writing out. And like Barrister Fu rightly said, integrity, morality will be the order of the day. Because, like you rightly said, that last question you asked Barrister Fu is a very tough question, as you rightly said. What mindset? How do we deliver our people from that mindset of this corrupt attitude that some of us grew up in? We were born into this corrupt attitude. Some of us, we only know President Paul Biya as the only president today. So we saw this corruption every day, every night. I've echoed it on most of my programs. How do we deliver people from this mindset? It is simple. It is simple. We are going to do that. Let me give an illustration. I will take us back to the Japanese team that went to the World Cup I think the last World Cup, I think so. Now, if you go to Japan, you will mistake Japan to be a Christian practicing nation, but they may practice ethics without calling God. They do practice ethics without even calling the name of Jesus. But everything that they are doing is stipulated in the Word of God. For example, when they lost their last match, I think people got angry and threw things and everything in the stadium, angry at the fact that they lost their last match, they were going to go back home. The team ethics taught them that they were going to stay back and pick up all the trash in that stadium to show the world that it's not about being mad that we lose, but it's about maintaining your integrity. Even when you lose, you know that in the match there's a loser and there's a winner. What are we trying to say? We have different ethnic groups in Ambazonia. We have different religions in Ambazonia. We are not going to, there will be a freedom of speech. There will be a freedom of worship. We're not going to say we're cracking down that everybody must become born again or must become a Christian the same day. No. We want to say that the norms that will be drawn, the ethics that will be practiced, will teach somebody without calling even the name of the Lord. What are some of these ethics? Just the fact that you are moving on the street, you drink a Coke or drink a soda, and you throw the can on the street, already tell somebody that this person does not understand the ethics in which we are trying to build Ambazonia. We want to build Ambazonia to that point where you know that throwing a can of drink that you are finished drinking a Coke on the roadside is something bad. You must trace a dirty trash bin to put it inside. Those are ethics that will be engraved into the people of Ambazonia, even without having to superimpose the name of God upon somebody. And when you begin to live morals like this, we want to draw a transitional government that when people come into a position where they are saying that this person can be awarded a contract, we are sure that the ethics and the morality of that person and the integrity of that person is such a person that when that contract is given to you, you'll be able to execute that contract, and we see the results of what you have done, so that we can give you the next contract. You know, so there's just a lot of things that will be laid down, which I pray that the people that will be in this committee, let them do what Americans do today. Yes. You want to run for an office in America, they go start digging your background when you were in secondary school. Did you ever smoke cocaine? Were you ever on drugs? Did you ever divorce your wife? They take all these things into consideration. Yeah, that's so what people should know that the life they are living now, the life they are living now determine the moral in which their future is going to be tomorrow. So I want to say that this very awesome program, and let people who are going to be part of this committee bear in mind that we have to draw a transitional government rule or ethics that will bring people that fear God, even if they don't call the name of God. We have faithful Muslims. We have faithful different religious people in the world. And we think that Ambazonia, we are not going to say everybody must become a Christian or born again, but your ethics can tell us that you have an iota of fear of God in your life, and we can be able to use you in a position of authority. Thank you so much for the time. God bless you, sir.
Thank you very much, Pastor, for that contribution.
Yes, Pastor Komando.
Just round up. Yeah.
Yes, let me say something here, which the pastor has elaborated on. All what pastor has said translates into one thing: morality and integrity of the individual. And in order to get to that, we have to be able to give programs that will teach ethics and morality in government. And when I started, I said the ethics committee is one of the best departments that this interim government has. That is preparing our people's minds to the incoming government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia.
I'll call you.
Because this ethics committee is, to me, is the most important foundation department, laying the foundation for a new takeoff. That is why this ethics committee has been giving all these lectures on TV since we started this interim government. And I'd like to congratulate the ethics committee for the work they have been doing. And you should continue in that light. We will not, the Ambazonian government, it is not going to be a government tied to any religion, but it will be a government that practices all ethics and all moral and morality of the individual serving our people. That includes from the president down to the last gate man of the government.
Thank you, Barrister.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we are very grateful. Barrister, I think we'll cross over to the next person right now.
Yeah.
I will call on Dr. Ndula, please. Is it fair to say that the transition period will be a period of scrutiny, as Barrister has elaborated and talked so much? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Commander, for that question. I think Barrister Fu has said most of what is there about the transitional government that we are going to have. Well, I mean, it is more than fair to say there will be thorough scrutiny. We want to pride ourselves to be not only one out of 55 African nations, but a nation that from the onset will be guided by ethical values, ethical codes of conduct, strict respect of the law, and that the consequences when you broke that law be implemented impartially. We see what is happening out here in the diaspora of people who call themselves so-called leaders out of the structure of the interim government. We have an interim government of the people, which is a continuation of the government led by Endele, by Foncha, by Jua, and by former President Sisiko Julius Ayuktabe, who unfortunately is in the hands of the enemy in the dungeon they call, the concentration camp they call Kondengi prison. And we are doing everything, praying for his release, for him and all the other members of his government who are under incarceration. And after he was picked up, a new leadership came up, a tripartite system which did not work, and now we have President Samuel Ikome Sako, who is the interim president of this government now. That is the structure that we have. And we have three arms of government: the executive, led by President Sako, the judiciary, led by Barrister Tim Besea, with Barrister Fru being a very invaluable member there, Barrister Ghana, Barrister Elat, and all the other barristers. And the Ethics Commission is in conjunction with the judiciary. And we have the interim House of Representatives led by Mawini Lobati. These are the three arms of government, of the interim government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, as stipulated by the Constitution, and they follow the rules of ethics. Any other structure apart from that is no interim government, is null and void. So people doing such things and claiming they are leaders and working outside this structure and bringing division and even causing infighting among our brave Ambazonia Restoration Forces, those people are earmarked, and will be judged when we arrive Boya. Such people, of course, if they don't denounce their present problems that they are causing and slowing down our independence quest, they will not be eligible for government, for any posts in the transitional government or future government in Ambazonia whatsoever. And that is that for the diaspora, because such people, they are so destructive. We have even people who say, okay, you don't recognize the interim government led by President Sako, come and let us collaborate. Then the Team Act was created. And there are movements there which they say, oh, we don't recognize this government, we don't recognize President Sako. Okay, but they collaborate with us. But there are others who do not even want to hear the word collaboration, and they claim they are leaders. I mean, that is a contradiction. You can't claim you are a leader, but you don't want unity. You don't want to work for unity, but all you do is divide. So that is what La Republique is doing. So we can rightly say you are working with the enemy. So you will not be eligible for government back home. And while we have 13 counties, 61 LGAs, with the heads mostly out of Ambazonia, in close collaboration with those on home front. So we know those who are on home front who are for us, even in a silent manner. And at one time, there were even appointed heads of these 13 regions on ground zero, but on home front, where we saw it was very, it posed security problems for them and life-threatening ones. So that was put aside, but we know who is for us and who is not. In my county, Ngokutunja, where I come from, we used to have a war council made up of respected, elderly, and tested leaders, civilians from all the 13 villages that make up Ngokutunja County. And it used to work very well. Well, it dissolved at some time for security reasons. But those are the blueprints that we will follow. And those are the people whom we know that are for total independence for Ambazonia, that are not for the fact that we somehow make some collaboration whatsoever with the enemy, with our killers, La République du Cameroon. So even from here in the diaspora, we are scrutinizing our people on home front, and all others who are silently for us, but for security reasons cannot show their faces. We have anonymous donors. We know all of them. And when the time comes, then we will know who is eligible for office and who is not. So that scrutiny, rest assured, fellow Ambazonians, is being done at the highest level. And we in the Ethics Commission see to it that in every department, in every county, in every LGA, ethics commissions are put up, and the Ambazonia Code of Ethics is followed, and so that they solve their problems in-house, and some other problems they bring it to us that they cannot solve. And we, from our side, when we see there is something wrong, we can also initiate our intermediary role and bring the warring factions to the table to talk about it and then help solve those problems. So, and some people renounce from their bad behavior, and some continue. So that scrutiny is strong and going on, and we know who is who. And of course, those on home front, they will know all of this when we soon have our independence and we are on the ground and we open up the books and start making everything known. But some of them are known to everybody, who cause division because they think, well, this is the time of impunity. We have no prisons, we have no police force, we have no courts of law where we can judge people in them, and then when found guilty, they be arrested by officers, taken to prison. Those people, they know that, so they think they can do and undo, but the time of reckoning is coming, as Barrister Fru said, when we soon arrive Boya. All of that will be taken into account. So I think that's what I can say to that effect. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tom, for that analysis. And I know that Ambazonians are preparing. And with the faithful few that are sitting in there, the wicked and tribalistic rule of La Republic will not be in our blood. I just pray that some of the Ambazonians who were there in the 1950s and saw and understood what happened, that they will be continuously, even when we transist and go to Ambazonia. So that will not just be theoretical points that are mentioned, but there will be people there who will see it practically. And now we'll go ahead to cross over to Mr. Peter, who has been waiting for a long time. Thank you very much for your patience. We are here to educate our people, and each one of you has a fantastic educational point of view to share to the people of Ambazonia. What role will the common man play in the selection process to fill the vacancies that this government is talking about when we are actually at home? Over to you, Mr. Peter.
Okay, thank you, Pastor Commando. Before I answer that question, the role of the common man in selection process during our transition period, that is selection of those who will lead, let me just quickly add one of the one item which add one item to the answer that Bao Fu gave about the changing the mindset. With people have gone for 40, 50 years, they know only the bad things. That's how they think. How do we go training them? How do we go changing it? One of the things that the ethics committee has in its back pocket, one of the cards, is they would set up a whistleblowing hotline. So there will be the training, but they will try to tempt people. They would, if you don't honor it, there is we would encourage the common man or the people to whistleblowing. There will be a hotline. You use that hotline if you know that somebody has not changed the mindset to the right one. So that is one of the things. We'll be using hotlines to enforce that. Other one. Then one other one would be they will be planting dummy fraudster, to come and tempt people in office to see whether they would fall in bribe. But those people will be vetted first, and they try to tempt people either to give them percentages or all that to see that their mindset is the right one. The ethics committee has all that written out, so it would be implemented there. So back to the question, the role of the common man in selection process of those who would lead us during the 3-year transitional period, because we want people of integrity or people who have changed their mindset. What is the role of the common man? People either in diaspora here or in home front, people, you belong to Njangi houses, you go to the same churches, you do things in common. You would know those who have stolen Jangi money. Yeah, they were treasurers in the Jangi money. They took it. They never gave it. They just disappeared with people. Common things. You know those who go to the off license and drink Mimbo and put their name in books, and they have never come back to pay. That is those little things show that those are not integral people. You are in the same church. You see that some people even ride in church, still fiddle with offerings. That might transpire, you know that. Or all this set of people, we know people who are in offices and have done dubious things that you are aware of. You, as it would be your role that if such, during the selection process, as we said, such people will go through this vetting process. And if you know that somebody is going through a vetting process and you know some of these hidden bad things this person has been doing, please, it's your role as part of the population, the common man, to bring this out so that one, that person is ready to change, or he is not part of the during that transition period in drawing up. Because why we want this is because leaders during that in transitional period are also very important. Because if during the transitional period only we repeat the bad things that La Republique is doing now, contracts still giving to cronies, fraudsters still going, police people still standing by the road, not being polite, or still taking bribe and nothing is happening, that is, we must have failed. So that is why this, you as a common man, is very important that you participate in the selection of this process. If some people you think that the person selected is not right, or somebody sneaked through the net, you have the whistleblowing hotline to report such things. Even maybe that person came from an area that was never vetted, but you know certain things. Use that hotline, and that person either changes or he's kicked out of that position. Let me just borrow a small example why leaders during this transition period are very important. We will be using the very people that have gone for years with this very attitude, but those who have changed, or those who are there now but just towing the line because of the system, that's fine. But those who come there and show good example, it would also help as education to the masses, and a lot will be done. Let's take the very small the example of the ex-president of Tanzania, President Magufuli. I hope I pronounced it. That is a person who took 6 years with the very population, or the common people that have been in that territory for over 60 years of independence, and they didn't do much. He used that very population, very people, but him as a leader being a very reinforcing and using a right mindset. Within 6 years, he did more to that country that that country has done to itself for the past 30 years. So that's why leaders during that period is very important. And you, us as common people, should really participate. If they ask your opinion or you see something, say something, use the whistleblowing line, report or when you are asked, and that is great. So that is how the common man would be very, 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 very important during that selection process to get the right people. Because the right people with the right mindset, the population just emulate them. They just follow them. And we will help in building a great nation by doing that. So that is the little I have. If anybody out there, you have any idea how the common man can participate in the selection during that process, please just ring in and we would like to hear from you. And I must emphasize the 3-year transitional period. We are selecting people from the using the transitional constitution. We'll be selecting people, a few from diaspora and a good majority from the home front. So that is me, Pastor Commando. Over to you, and hope we get a call from viewers to get their own opinion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tansi. Thank you very much. Ambazonia, when I hear these men speak, I go back to my not up to teenage years in the 50s and the early 60s when I saw this thing happening. The world has gone very far, but they are talking what has happened before in Ambazonia. And if Magufuli of Tanzania could do what he did, I am sure getting back to Ambazonia with the remnant of these men, of course, and women who are telling us what had happened before when morality was the talk of the day, I am very convinced we are going to get there. Mr. Peter mentioned something which I loved so much, and that is testing the people who are in the office by giving them some tips. I remember when La Republic just set up what they call Operation Sparrow, catching people. I went to an identity card to get an identity, and the guy there asked me for a bribe, which I brought in 20,000 CFA, their local money, and I marked the money. I had gone to report in the police, and they sent me 2 CIDs, with which we went to the office of the identity in Swa, whether they call it Whale. At the end of the day, they grabbed that young man. They entered there. As soon as I entered there, I pressed a button on my phone, and the 2 policemen came in and said, "Bring out that money, bring it out, bring it out." So he brought it out, and they took at it and looked at it. And then they asked me, I said, he asked me for the money. We went to the police station. Of course, he was speaking Nyamuvu, tribalism, and that was the end of the story. Anyway, I'm saying that Mr. Peter just said it all. So anybody who is hearing and fortunately happens to be amongst those who will be choosing to be in Ambazonia, be watchful and be careful. The temptations are going to be there, but people will come in to temptation you, as it was in the past. Was not temptation. They were just very conscious that if they do anything stupid, they were going to be napped. All right, let's continue. We have a few more minutes to run up in this particular show. Our telephone number, in this particular program, is not a show. Our telephone number is there on the screen. You can call in to bring in your contribution. I'm seeing that a good number of people are actually here with us watching. I can see we are now 101. There are now 101 people on Facebook who are watching this particular program. The microphone is there. The telephone is there. It's a WhatsApp call. It doesn't matter where you are calling from. Call in and shout, and we are going to be able to answer your question or take your concerns or take your contributions, as we just heard from Pastor Victor. Meanwhile, we want to ask Dr. Lula, what encouragement can you give to the home front to believe that our independence is a done deal, and that it is only a matter of time before we physically walk into that place? Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Pastor Commando. Well, our interim government, not only now during the tenure of President Sako, even under the tenure of former President Sisiku Julius Ayuk-Tabe, some little diplomatic strides were made. One city, town of Lowell, recognizing us as the Federal Republic of Ambazonia in the USA. That was an aside, but later on, during the tenure of President Sako, high-level diplomatic openings happened. The U.S. Congress has made so many resolutions, not only written them, but implemented them. There is this AGOA Agricultural Growth and Opportunity Act, from which La République has been kicked out. This favorable trade with the USA, and decided as reason because you are killing your people, your own people, instead of talking with them in the so-called Northwest and Southwest. And the military aid to La République under the presidency of former President Donald Trump was cut in half. And the same reason was cited. We don't give you that military aid to fight against your own people, but to fight against terrorists, Boko Haram in the north. That was, some years ago. But just of late, the Black Caucus, influential Black congressmen and women of the United States of America, invited President Sako, addressing him as the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, to get first-hand information about our situation. And just some few weeks back, President Sako also had some more high-level talks with not only the Black Caucus, but many departments in the many Congress men and women, and even with some representatives from the White House, from the presidency of America. So we are going places, and there is the province of Barueri in Brazil, which has recognized the independence of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. And President Sako flew in with a visa, that visa approved by the Republic of Brazil, by the government of Brazil, allowing him to fly in as the president of Ambazonia, the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, to receive that honor. And they gave us some aid also and the recognition. And from then on, many press, many interviews have been made with international press, the Nigerian press, some African press, the Brazilian press of late, and one influential Afro-American international radio station has interviewed the president of late. And there was some few months back a show, an interview with a talk given online where President Sako was invited. And it was the Commonwealth that invited him as the leader of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia to talk about issues in Africa. So there are many other things that we cannot talk detailedly about it now, or we are not allowed to divulge all of that because, as I say, diplomacy is silent. Those are the things that, everybody can Google about, and those are things that have been happening. And in all those instances, they have been addressing President Samuel Ikome Sako as the leader of the interim government, the government recognized by the people, having foot in all 13 counties and all 61 LGAs in the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, and calling for unity and already implementing that, saying, if you don't even recognize that this interim government, come and collaborate with us, having formed the Team Act, which was included in the Swiss talks. The Swiss offered to mediate between us and Ambazonia, and our term, of course, was the total independence of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. So the Team Act was created, that all the groups, everybody who doesn't even agree with the interim government can come on board and then collaborate. And let me tell you, the interim government is forms the absolute majority of every Ambazonian group or collaboration platform that is out there. So don't allow yourself to be fooled by any so-called other leaders. We have only one interim government, one president, one interim government made up of 3 arms of government, and we are going places. That is what I can assure Ambazonians of. And As I said, there are many diplomatic openings that we are not allowed to talk about now because those countries, they still deal with us through the back door, so to say. And when everything comes out soon, and then we are confident that our independence is around the corner. So that is why the president announced this year, 2023, the year of acceleration. We are accelerating things and getting ready, as in the words of former President Sisiko Julius Ayuk-Tabe, that we should hit the ground running. We have a curriculum of education from the nursery school to the university. And there are some pockets of community schools already implementing that on home front. So we are more than ready to hit the ground when our independence is finally granted. Independence which we have restored, which was stolen from us 62 years ago, and restored in 2017, and is to be recognized and given back to us by the United Nations, which gave it and took it away from us 62 years ago. So rest assured, fellow Ambazonians, our independence is practically almost a done deal. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much for that down-to-earth elaboration to let the Ambazonians at home front know that our coming home is real. It's not a myth. It's real. I can see we just hit 120 people on this particular live program watching all over the place, 120 people. Please, our telephone lines are on, and in the next few minutes, we will be getting out of this particular program to get into another program. I want to assure you we don't have up to half an hour to be here. But before we get the last concern and question that we had for the panel, let's get back to this interlude. Let me say this pause. It is an advert pause for the ethics of Ambazonia. Just listen and come right back.
From the savannah to the mainland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you prepared? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Star and Oni for that message. I'm sure that Ambazonians, if your ears are open and you can listen very attentively, you will understand and discover that what our panelists are saying inside here has all been mentioned directly in the ethics advert that Ambazonian girls, as I would say, are presenting over there. Thank you very much. Well, we are doing everything to get back to the moral standard in which we were, the more mutual respect for one another, and of course, eating where you sow. That is what we are all about doing. We are going to get back now. We are asking the last but not the least question from our panelist, Comrade Tanshi. What can you say to the youths on the home front to encourage them to start thinking and planning for their Ambazonian dream? Though anonymously, we know they have gone through thick and thin, and now they are used to that pain. University graduates riding Okada, but now we are talking of an emerging nation, and to get back to where we were and more because of the advancement of today, which is more than what was yesterday. What would you tell the youths at home front? Comrade Peter, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Pastor Commando. To our youths on the home front, let me start by congratulating you because we've come this far because of you. Some of you, the initial ones, you took just den guns, rubber guns, and we've come this far. Well, some of us are no more. They gave their lives for this. But those who are remaining, let's start with those, our boys who are still fighting. Congratulations for sticking out so far. What we have for you is this. When we get to Boya, all you already know, you will be integrated into our army or police or law enforcement system the way you want it, where you will want to fit or where you think you fit more. So that it's quite a guarantee. Stay on, keep on fighting, because we fight out here. The diplomacy, the communication we're making, is thanks to all the effort you made at ground zero, our home front. It's thanks to you, all thanks to you. So keep on. And then for those who are in education or who are in training or who are doing business, please be prepared that for those in education, educate yourself more as to what you are doing, especially civic responsibility, because the new government would be providing a base for you to change your mind. And either you go to education not only to go and write competitive exams and only be in the civil service. Yes, it's an option, but we will also be providing support for those who want to do business. You do business first, you employ yourself. You do business, you would be able to employ another person. And business will strive when we come, it strives better when infrastructure is provided, like the physical infrastructure. What do I mean? Good roads, good maybe waterways or railways and airports and seaports. These will be providing. So keep on all this infrastructure provided. Your business, if you go into business, you see you can produce, you can rear cows in Cambe, and the next day they are sold in Limbe, or the beef is sold in Limbe immediately, or Boya. So because of good infrastructure, and you can then grow more cows, and you know that quick to the market and you get money in your pocket, right? So those who are ready to do business, we are going to provide that infrastructure. We're providing the training. We would assist in other things like business continuity. You do a business, how do you take a business over long run? We don't want to leave you to your devices only, that you don't know that you can pass on that business to the next generation. Some businesses where we are out here in diaspora have lived on for something like 400 years and they are still existing. But when I was a kid, there were some businesses which were there, which is just like what, 40 years ago? Those businesses, those big businesses there are not yet there because maybe they were not supported. Maybe the government killed the businesses intentionally. We would support business for business continuity. It's a very big word, so that when you start your business, it can go on, you can pass it to the next generation. There's that ability to run that business like that, that most of you don't know. The government is going to supply the skills and the knowledge for you to run a business profitably and most probably pass it on to the next generation, employ people conveniently. So keep on and support the fight in one way or another. But if you can go anonymous because you are on home front, that would really be great. So that is the part of education. Another education is not only the general education. More training will provide more training and more facilities, so that when you train as a technician, one other thing is when you train as technically either carpenter, electrician, plumber, and all that, you train that again to add to that technical skill. We are going to add the government is going to support with business skill. So whether when you are running a plumbing company, you should have the skills to do it as a business, so that you employ other people, so that the technical background, how to know whether you are profitable or not. So we would support all those small businesses. That is the main aim. Great support for that. And then another one is develop we would put people to develop a very good mindset, right? So that you as a youth, the fact that you are not a civil servant doesn't mean you cannot run a government. If you run a business conveniently, you're given the skills, you can come and also be part of the government. So not only people who have successfully gone to school, but those who have done business successfully and show business leadership skills for their business, you can also get into the government. So we're encouraging all these. Just use your ability that you have, and you would find it easy with Ambazonian, because we're going to provide the support. We're going to encourage either association of carpenters or associations of plumbers, association of tailors, so that you can help each other, and you can also make your product at scale, so that at a larger scale, so that you can sell them even out of Ambazonia, and we support your export and all that. So that is what is there for the youths. Some of us are old, we will not come to do that. We're doing this for you and for your children. So that is what the assurance we're giving the youths who are on home front, to continue what they are doing and to see how much is at their disposal when the new government, the new Ambazonia is run, especially during the transition. There will be really a lot during that transition, so you would profit from it. So again, we call, the line is there. Anybody who has any addition, call our lines, or have something to add, call our line, and we would hear your opinion. I pass this over back to you, Pastor Commando.
Thank you very much, Comrade Peter. Thank you so much for elaborate explanation to our youths at the home front. As you rightly said, most of us are going home, and we are not going to be sit tight. We are a generation that believes in the youths, in their strength to do what we cannot do in our old ages. Thank you so much once again for that explanation. Now, I can see there are so many people. I told you there were about 120 people actually watching live on this broadcast, and some cannot really call. I hear, what is your stand on school resumption? Well, fellow Ambazonians and friends watching from home and abroad, I think we are not going to go and say something very different from the explanation our president said yesterday, that Ambazonia, right now, at this period, we know there is a genocide going on, and the stand of the interim government is not to say that schools should not go on, and it's not to say that schools should go on. We are not saying go to school, and we are not saying don't go to school. The stand of the government is that the parents, number one, the teachers, number two, and the children themselves. When you, the parents, see that the environment is conducive and your children can go and obtain A level and B level and C level and come back home alive, good. But for them to go obtain A level and C level and die before they reach home in the battle of a republic of La Republique, genocidal regime that is still reigning on our streets, what is that good to you? And our president also emphasized that education does not only mean going to a particular class to sit down there and rub shoulders. You can homeschool your child if you really very much want to do so. So I don't know if some other person has something to add to what our president said, or something contrary to tell the Ambazonian people in this house. The microphone is open to all of you who are in the studios before I read the section of the code that we have from our ethics code for today. Panelists,
Yes,
the
you're
microphone
quite.
is open.
Yes, you're quite right, as a commander. I mean, the president hit the nail on the head. And just to add onto that, the thing is, I mean, we are in a war zone, and this war is a genocidal war declared upon us by La République du Cameroon. And our people not only have the right to self-defense, to fight back, but we actively support them to do just that. Because I would not sit here and then my younger brother is there to be killed. When they kill him, his family is next, then he has the right to defend himself. That's exactly what they are doing. So to all those so-called one Cameroon fake Ambazonians out there who are saying, oh, you Amba people, you are waging war, you're taking arms against the government, I would say, well, I mean, you have an abusive father or mother beating you every day, threatening you, beating you and your brother. And your brother has died as a result of that. And you are constantly being beaten also. It is your duty to protect yourself, or call in somebody. I mean, child support would come in, the government would come in, and then take away that child from that abusive parent. And that is exactly what is being done. Or in a home where the husband comes home constantly drunk, beats the wife near death every time, then the state will come in and say, hey, what? Hold on, this is not going on right. Then that woman has the right to take herself out of danger and her children. That's exactly what we are doing after this unholy alliance with La République du Cameroon, who now seek to kill for so-called unity. I mean, that is the crazy French mindset that they have inherited, and it makes no sense. So if you are a fellow Ambazonian, Southern Cameroonians, know that our people are there defending themselves against a brutal regime that has done the same with the Bamilikes in the 50s, 60s, who at the time had to run over to an autonomous Ambazonia to seek refuge. And La République military didn't have the right to cross over. So that's why we have many of them who are, after generations, are in our territory. So we are this never again generation that is not going to tolerate that. And to add to what Comrade Peter Tanshi said about the youths, we're encouraging the youths in the diaspora also to come up and take leadership positions. It is not something for the old people. Some of us will not live to see Ambazonia, and we want the youth to gear up and then take up leadership position, because the future is for the youth, not like, in La Republique, where somebody is here 90 years old, maybe 100 even, and suffering from dementia and leading. So we call upon the youth to come up and take up leadership position. Thank you.
La Republic, where ancestors are the ones who are on the throne. I don't know.
Yes.
Is Barrister Fru still there?
No, he's frozen. He's frozen.
Frozen. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Comrade Peter, can you want to say something so we can round up from here and give chance to the other programs that are coming up?
Yeah, okay, that just round up. Yeah. About school, I just echo what the president said. Parents, judge for yourself. Teachers or school authorities, judge for yourselves. And students, judge for yourselves. We've not called any ghost towns. Okay. Now, for the rounding up for the day, this concerned the 3-year transitional period. So we would, during that period, fight to change mindset, come up with a new constitution. You, the common man, you have a role to play, so that the right people should be put in that position so that we can move ahead. You, the youths, count on us, stay strong, come up for leadership positions, train yourselves, will have the support of the government to do whatever you want to do. It would be a prosperous country, not only a country where you can become somebody by being a civil servant. So that's my summary for the day.
Thank you very much, panelists. Thank you very much. Let me go ahead before you leave the studios. Let's go ahead and Section 3, Article 4 of our Ethics Code dealings with the business community, what Comrade Tianshi just talked about, how government is going to support and not push you out. The business community should have access to the ethical standards applied by the government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, and should ensure that their own practices do not pressure elected members and employees to depart from those standards. Any attempts by members of the business community to offer inducements or other benefits, call it rightly bribery, in exchange for favors or special treatment, must be reported immediately to the appropriate quarters, that's senior officials or investigative units of the department or of the agency. Well, that is one of the articles, and we will continue to bring you tidbits of what is being said on what we practice and what we have on ethics. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is on this note that we are announcing to you that we've come to the end of this particular program. And let me just reiterate what somebody has just written also here, talking about collaboration. Go to our LGA, go to your county. That is where we are working. Thank you very much, and God bless the Federal Republic of Ambazonia for today and for this Ethics Commission. God bless and bye.
From the Savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, "Tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, "To educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society."
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you prepared? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency, departments of DSS, HSS,